Honorable members, we would like to acknowledge the presence of our guests in the gallery. Amongst them, we have got the guests of the Minister, the delegation from the Kenyan Parliament Committee on Land, we also have a delegation from the House of Regional Representatives of the Republic of Indonesia. We also have the constituency of the Minister from the Republic of South Africa, who are the farmers, land beneficiaries, experts, officials from the different parastatals of land as well as agriculture, and I've seen also some students who I'm sure are the future agricultural researchers and scientists and maybe land surveyors who are also in the gallery. You are all welcome, but I'm sure without the members of parliament who will participate in the debate, it wouldn't be exciting. So members are also acknowledged for their presence. The Secretary will read the order of the day.
Debate on vote number 39, Rural Development and Land Reform Appropriation Bill.
Umhlonishwa ungqongqoshe wezangaphandle kumbe ezasemakhaya nezomhlaba uMnumzane Nkwinti.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you very much for welcoming our guests, all of them. Thank you very much. I won't go through the motion. I think it would be pedantic if I did so. But honorable members of the House, thank you very much for attending this session. Honorable members, colleagues, honorable ministers and deputy ministers here today, thank you very much for coming. Esteemed traditional leaders, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. On this date in 1996, the Constitution of the Republic was adopted by this august House. We are honored and privileged to present our budget policy speech on this date in the evolution of our country's democracy. It is now common cause that when he presented the Constitution to this House and the country, the then Deputy President of the Republic, His Excellency Thabo Mbeki, made his seminal "I am an African" speech. This is how he introduced his address, just briefly. I quote, "On an occasion such as this, we should perhaps start from the beginning. So, let me begin. I am an African. That was His Excellency Thabo Mbeki speaking. During his State of the Nation address on the 12th of February 2015, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Jacob Zuma, had the following to say, opening his address, I quote, "The year 2015 marks 60 years of a historic moment in our country, when South Africans from all walks of life adopted the Freedom Charter in 1955 in Kliptown, Soweto. They declared, amongst other things, that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white, and that no government can justly claim authority unless it is based on the will of all the people. That was a powerful, visionary, reconciliatory statement which set the tone for the non-racial democracy we have established, unquote. In its preamble, the Freedom Charter says, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. Clause 4 of the Charter says the following: land shall be shared among those who work it. Restrictions of land ownership on a racial basis shall be ended, and all the land redivided amongst those who work it, to banish famine and land hunger. The state shall help the peasants with implements, seed, tractors, and dams to save the soil and assist the tillers. Freedom of movement shall be guaranteed to all who work on the land. All shall have the right to occupy land wherever they choose. People shall not be robbed of their cattle, and forced labor and farm prisons shall be abolished. It is the responsibility, Honorable Chairperson and members, of the democratic developmental state to translate this dictum into a socio-economic reality. As part of its work towards the installation of our democratic dispensation, the African National Congress developed the Ready to Govern document, which has 4 pillars: to strive for the achievement of the right of all South Africans as a whole, to political and economic self-determination in a united South Africa, to overcome the legacy of inequality and injustice created by colonialism and apartheid in a swift, progressive, and principled way, to develop a sustainable economy and state infrastructure that will progressively improve the quality of life of all South Africans, and to encourage the flourishing of the feeling that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, to promote common loyalty to and pride in the country, and to create a universal sense of freedom and security within its borders. The Constitution of the Republic gives concrete expression to the Freedom Charter and the Ready to Govern document when it says, in its preamble, we, the people of South Africa, recognize the injustices of the past, honor those who suffered for justice and freedom in our land, and respect those who have worked to build and develop our country, and believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. We therefore, through our freely elected representatives, adopt this Constitution as the supreme law of the land, heal the divisions of the past, and establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. Lay the foundations for a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of all of the people, and every citizen is equally protected by law. Improve the quality of life of all citizens and free the potential of each person, and build a united and democratic South Africa able to take its rightful place as a sovereign state in the family of nations. Section 25(5) of the Constitution enjoins the state to take reasonable legislative and other measures within its available resources to foster conditions which enable citizens to gain access to land on an equitable basis. These constitutional imperatives are at the core of the mandate of the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform. The litmus test, therefore, to all policies is whether or not they are redistributive in character. Consultations with organized agriculture, farm workers' unions, civil society organizations with interest on land, and academics have taken place. We are now consolidating the inputs made by these partners. During his State of the Nation address, the President announced that the government will conduct 50 pilots on the 50-50 policy framework by 2019, and that the regulation of land holdings bill will be introduced to the House. That bill deals with ceilings, land ceilings, and prohibition of ownership by foreign nationals. We have seen tremendous activity and interest from the sector. The use of annual rate of turnover to determine the nature and extent of redistribution and equity, and an idea bank, and so on. These are all inputs which have come from the honorable members have got the policy speech in their regard. I'm not going to read all of them. However, I might just say that the interest that has been shown has been varied. But the common thread amongst all of them is that there's general acceptance of the policy of the framework. This framework, it seeks to strengthen the relative rights of people who work the land. So there's general acceptance, although there are various permutations in terms of the policy proposal that has been presented to South Africans. There's an interesting one by a community group. It says that we should establish farm workers' trusts and farm villages, but without separate titles. This is an interesting one because the general trend out there is that everybody must have title to their land. These are people who are thinking about cooperatives, etc., and therefore turning cooperatives into the business ownership form of development. These are community groups that speak for people who are out there who don't have but seek to have land and therefore produce and have a livelihood that is dependent on their own productive capacity. But you've got several such proposals, Honorable Chair. In the speech, we set it out in terms of who says what. But with regard to land ceilings, which is the point I think is very important here. With regard to land ceilings and the prohibition of land ownership by foreign nationals, there has been outright rejection from the greater part of the sector. This matter has divided the sector across racial and class lines. The prohibition of land ownership by foreign nationals has drawn a sharp response from particularly the Banking Association of South Africa, Agricultural Business Chamber, and Agri-SA. The basis of their rejection is that it will drive away foreign investment in the economy as a whole. We certainly do not agree with this view. Our conviction is that any investor, whether foreign or national, wants policy certainty. Once they understand what the policy is, they adapt accordingly. We have looked at South Africa's history of land ownership patterns since the advent of the 1913 Natives Land Act, as well as experience elsewhere in the world, particularly Europe and a few countries in Latin America. Both scenarios are instructive. The South African experience shows that the aggregate farmland over this period has generally remained stable, being disturbed by fluctuations in the number of people entering or leaving farming, influencing in turn the fall of average farm size from 950 hectares and 750 hectares between 1918 and 1950, and between 750 hectares to over 2,000 hectares currently. In Europe, the general average farm size is 14 hectares, while in Latin America, it ranges between approximately 72 hectares and 84 hectares. That's Brazil and Chile, respectively. Taking these scenarios into account, the general views shared at our recent National Land Tenure Summit, the pronouncements by President Zuma during his tenure, and the historical need to address the brutal legacy of colonialism and grand apartheid, we have come up with the following policy proposals on ceilings for both natural and touristic persons. The ceiling for a viable commercial small-scale farm should be 1,000 hectares. The ceiling for a medium-scale viable commercial farm should be 2,500 hectares. The ceiling for a large-scale viable commercial farm should be 5,000 hectares. Any excess land portions between each of these categories and above the 12,000 hectares maximum shall be expropriated and redistributed, and compensation will be on the basis of the just and equitable principle enshrined in Section 25(3) of our Constitution. We have come up with a special category to address the 12,000 hectares maximum announced by the President during the SONA, which will be applicable to 3 categories of land use: forestry, game farms, and renewable energy, particularly wind farms. Secondly, we think there is a merit in AFASA's proposal on the use of the rate of turnover, We have come to the conclusion that this option would fit well in the circumstances where sugar, grapes, vegetable, fruit, and horticulture are concerned. In such cases, however, off-farm equity holdings would be more appropriate. And we have set the rate of turnover at 5 million rands per annum, provided that the share equity for workers is not less than 25%. Reference Agri-BE Code of Good Conduct. We are of the strong view that these policy proposals would go a long way towards addressing the strategic thrust of land reform, namely rekindling the class of black commercial farmers, which was destroyed by the 1913 Natives Land Act, that all land reform farms, including communal land, are 100% productive, and achieving the objectives of the National Development Plan as rapidly as is possible. Apart from redistributing land to deracialize ownership, we have to align land relations in communal areas controlled by traditional institutions with the Constitution of the Republic. In this regard, a bill will be submitted to this House as soon as consultations with all interested parties have been completed and a policy finalized. Similarly, a policy is being developed to give full title to households which have been given land under collectives, such as trusts and communal property associations. This move has necessitated an amendment to the Communal Property Associations Act. The relevant bill will be submitted to the House this year as well. Here, the will of the people must be tested as to which institutions should govern their land on their behalf. Secondly, the litmus test is the socio-economic impact of the institutions so selected on the lives of the people and their communities. With respect to land controlled by CBAs and trusts, a full title deed will be transferred to households, and in the case of communal areas, institutionalized use rights will be registered. Both instances speak to the one household, 1 hectare regime, which seeks to address subsistence livelihoods at household level. The National Development Plan introduces its overview by the following quotation from the Reconstruction and Development Program. It says, "No political democracy can survive and flourish if the mass of our people remain in poverty, without land, without tangible prospects for a better life. Attacking poverty and deprivation must therefore be the first priority of a democratic government." In pursuit of the targets and actions of the NDP, the department developed the Rural Economy Transformation Model. During the SONA, the President announced that government has set aside 2 billion rands this financial year for the implementation of agri-parks in all 44 district municipalities, with priority given to 27 poorest ones. 1% of this amount, which is 20 million rands, will be allocated to institutional and capacity development and/or skills acquisition, with priority given to 27 poorest districts. This is to address the question of equity. These agri-parks are an integral part and driver of the rural economy transformation, whose focus is the generation and stimulation of both subsistence and commercial enterprises. 70% equity in these agri-parks shall be owned by producers, with the state and other commercial interests anchoring the other 30%. The state's strategic support will diminish over a period of 10 years, with producers taking full control. Ready to start next week are 2 districts already, Ngakamudiri in Northwest and Chris Hani in the Eastern Cape. Now, Section 25 of the Constitution, true to the letter and spirit of the Freedom Charter, empowers the state to intervene directly where it deems necessary. In this regard, the President has recently assented to the following laws: Spatial Planning and Land Use Management, Restitution of the Land Rights Amendment Act, Property Valuation Act, and the Geomatics Profession Act. These are transformative bills. Honorable Chair, we must, however, mention that there is a case before the Constitutional Court brought by the Land Access Movement of South Africa, challenging the validity of the process, which culminated in the passing of the Amendment of Restitution Land Rights Act of 1994. This is a matter, therefore, that we faced with together with both houses of parliament. The Property Valuation Act, which establishes the Office of the Valuer General, was assented to by the President in June 2014. It is intended that the office will be fully operational by the 1st of July, with the Valuer General in office. Honorable Chair, we are institutionalizing transformation. We are moving South Africa forward. Siyaqhubeka. Let me conclude by referring to the Ready to Govern document again, Honorable Chair. It's very important because some of the honorable members in this House really do not know this document. They do not know that we are actually implementing policies of the African National Congress. Some of them were part of the ANC, they've just forgotten. It's taken them very, very short time to forget. It says this: legislation on economic matters shall be guided by the principle of encouraging collaboration between the public, private, cooperative, communal, and small-scale family sectors with a view to reducing inequality, promoting growth, and providing goods and services for the whole population. The Bill of Rights shall establish the principles and procedures whereby land rights will be restored to those deprived of them by apartheid statutes. A land claims tribunal functioning in an equitable manner according to the principles of justice laid out in legislation will, wherever it is feasible to do so, restore such rights. In doing so, it will take into account the role of compensation to be paid by the state to those whose existing titles are affected. Provisions relating to property rights and compensation will have to be applied in such a way that they are not manipulated so as to frustrate a national land reform program. Honorable Chair, we present to the House this budget policy speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable PC Ngwenya Mabila.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, and other ministers who are here, Honorable Deputy Ministers of Rural Development and other Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members, our guests in the gallery. It is true that no political democracy can survive and flourish if the mass of our people remain in poverty, without land, without tangible prospects for a better life. The Commission on Land Restitution has made progress in finalizing claims that were lodged before the 31st of December 1998. By restoring nearly 3.2 million hectares of land, spend more than 18 billion on land restoration to the rightful owners until November 2014. More than 1.8 million claimants benefited from restitution. In total, more than 98% of the land claims have been finalized. That's progress. Over the years, there were challenges that led to the slow pace of restitution, such as the exorbitant prices of land acquisition, lack of adequate research capacity, conflicts between and within claimants, land claim cases that took long to be resolved by the Land Claims Court, lack of funding to finalize their circuit claims. Research is one of the vitally important phases of the restitution process. It provides evidence upon which a land claim will be accepted as valid or invalid. As mentioned above, inadequate capacity for research is one of the challenges facing restitution. The plan of the Commission to partner with universities and Human Science Research Council to enhance their research capacity will increase the number of claims that will be researched in the financial year to 2,660, which is an increase by 1,215 compared to 2014-2015 financial year, whereby 1,445 claims were researched. By addressing the research capacity, the Commission will increase the number of claims settled and finalized, will accelerate the finalization of the outstanding claims submitted before the cutoff date of the 31st of December 1998, will mean that there will be a need for additional funding at the right time to fast-track the restitution process. Expropriation bill has been tabled for consideration by the Portfolio Committee on Public Works, which will also assist in fast-tracking the land reform program. While we acknowledge that the land redistribution is too slow, we totally condemn land grab as it is against the Constitution and other land reform policies. In 2012, the ANC 53rd Mangaung Conference took a resolution that there was a need to reopen the lodging of claims. The 2014 ANC manifesto, read in line with the 2014 State of the Nation address and the minister budget vote, confirms that there's a need to reopen the lodging of claims for restitution of land for a period of 5 years. This resolution led to the restitution of the Land Rights Amendment Act, which was signed into law on the 30th of June 2014, for the reopening of the restitution process for the period of 5 years until 30 June 2019. There were lessons learned during the first phase of the restitution program. Honorable Chair, there was an improvement as applications were previously captured manually, but currently applications are captured electronically to eradicate the loss of files, which was a concern raised by the public. This is the indication that the ANC government listens to the people and address their needs. We appreciate that the Commission has acknowledged that there was a lack of communication between the Commission and the claimants. There's an improvement made by the Commission. Immediately after the claimant application has been captured, the claimant received the acknowledgement letter and the SMS, which confirms that the application has been captured. Furthermore, to improve communication, manuals were developed in all languages on how to lodge a claim. The Commission has procured printers which will be used to communicate and educate the public about the lodgement process and the program of the Mobile Lodgement Office. But more still needs to be done to continuously inform the claimants about the progress of their claims until the final stage. We also request members to assist in preaching the gospel of the relodgement of claims in their constituencies, and that the program of the mobile be distributed to constituencies and municipalities. Honorable Chair, one of the reasons that made some people to miss the deadline for the lodgement before the 31st of December 1998 was that offices were far for some rural people who were unemployed to reach them. To deal with this challenge, the department have procured 4 mobile lodgement buses, which are called Gemsbok, and 2 4x4s that will go in deep rural areas to service the people. The ANC government will be bringing services nearer to the people. Let the people use the opportunity and make their application on time and not wait to apply on the last day. We request that the officials who man in the mobile programs to serve the rural people with humility and dignity. We expect the same from the communities. Kuzoshunga uthuli ezilalini.
Honorable Member, can you take a seat? Honorable Member, what's your point of order?
Chairperson, it's a ruling in the House that members that is in the gallery cannot participate what is happening here. Some of them, I know they are very miserable being here because they can
Thank
just
you,
clap
Honorable
because the
Member.
HODs
I've
are
noted
watching.
your point. Honorable Member, can you please proceed?
Chairperson, I want you to make a ruling on it because it's a
Honorable
rule.
Member, I have noted your point. I will make a ruling. Honorable Member, can you please continue?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Kuzoshunga uthuli ezilalini. The Commission is coming. The ANC government is delivering. It is the only government that can deliver services to the needy people. This budget will ensure that the mobile lodgement offices will reach each and every corner of South Africa for the affected individuals to lodge their claims. In reversing the legacy of the 1913 Native Land Act, we congratulate and applaud the department and the Commission for the progress made. The National Development Plan outlines key proposals for tackling problems of poverty, inequalities, and unemployment. It states that by 2030, rural communities should have greater opportunities to participate fully in the economic, social, and political life of the country. And the successful land reform, job creation, and increasing agricultural production will contribute to the development of an inclusive rural economy. It thus proposes a multi-pronged strategy for job creation in agriculture, provision of basic services, and development of agro-processing. The Comprehensive Rural Development Program, as resolved by the 52nd Conference of the ANC held in Polokwane, was implemented since 2009. Furthermore, the 53rd Conference of the ANC held in Mangaung was also consistent by reaffirming the need for radical agrarian transformation. The Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform proposed the agrarian transformation system as a strategy for transformation of rural economy. This strategy involves the following development measurables: meeting the basic human needs, rural enterprise development, agro, village industries sustained by credit facilities and value chain markets, and improved land tenure. The increase in the budget of rural infrastructure will make the difference in improving the standard of living of rural people through the upgrading of roads, provision of water, and other basic services. It contributes significantly towards narrowing the development gap between rural and urban centers. This will significantly contribute to reversing the spatial legacy of apartheid, which has resulted in outward migration to the cities or urban centers, and limit the gap of inequalities between rural and urban development. Furthermore, create jobs and provide skills to rural people. Honorable Chair, where the CRDP has passed, you will notice drastic progress in the provision of services. Rural areas will not be the same again. The ANC issues the rural areas from 0 to 50, from 50 to 100. The ANC is the only organization that can care for the South African people. One of the strategic objectives of the department is to facilitate the development of rural enterprise and industry in rural areas.
Chairperson.
Honorable member, can you please take your seat? Honorable member, if you are raising again on the point
Yes,
of...
I'm raising on that.
Exactly.
Please make a ruling, because I can also buzz
Honorable
people
member.
in and let them come and sit here and clap hands for me when I'm
Honorable
talking.
member, can you please take
So
your
I want
seat?
you to make a ruling.
Can you take your seat? Honorable member on the podium, can you please continue?
One of the strategic objectives of the department is to facilitate the development of rural enterprise and industries in rural areas with economic development potential and opportunities by 2020. More still needs to be done on enterprise development and agribusiness. The plan of the department to establish 27 agri-parks in 27 poorest districts is mostly welcome, as this will benefit mostly smallholder and commercial farmers. Honorable Chair, Priority 1 of the MTSF emphasized the improvement of land administration and spatial planning for integrated development in rural areas. The department is still lacking in the implementation of SPLUMA, especially at provincial and local level, to be in line with the NDP. SPLUMA will guide the use, planning, and development to address inequalities and facilitate the integrated planning and land use management by 2020. The recap was initiated in 2009, and its first implementation started in 2010. His Excellency, the President, in the 2014 State of the Nation address, also emphasized that comprehensive support must be given to smallholder farmers and land reform beneficiaries in the form of technical skills, infrastructural development, and financial support. The Portfolio Committee on Rural Development and Land Reform conducted its own evaluation on the recap. As part of the evaluation, the committee conducted public hearings which were held on the 4th and 5th of February 2015. It received submission from research organizations, academics, stakeholders, strategic partners and mentors, and most importantly, the beneficiaries of the recap. Stakeholders and beneficiaries demonstrated evidence of the success of the recap program. Testimonies from farmers supported the recap included the following. Some farmers reported that the program have upgraded production from emerging to full commercial farming. For instance, the Marinda farm in the Northern Cape, the Portfolio Committee has visited this farm and saw the success of this woman who is a livestock farmer. Beneficiaries of the program also appreciated the technical skills provided through the recap. Most importantly, government investment in infrastructure development was most evident across the farmers as one of the contributing factors to the success of this program. We drew important lessons from our engagement with members of the public. Some of the lessons relate to the challenges confronting the RECAP and how government should address those challenges. Those challenges are as follows: late payment of RECAP funds to the beneficiaries, imposition of strategic partners, reporting system which is not functional, business plans which are changing now and then, lack of consultation and communication. But the department is in the process of reviewing the RECAP policy, which we hope it will address some of the challenges mentioned in the public hearings for the effective implementation of the program. We will continue to conduct oversight on the RECAP projects as well as monitoring the policy review processes. The farms that will be assisted through RECAP in this financial year will never be the same again. The integrated approach by both Department of Agriculture and Rural Development will strengthen and sustain this program. Honorable Chair, Department have entities that are accountable to it. It is the responsibility then of the department to transfer financial resources to those entities. Let the transfers be done on time for the entities to be able to execute their mandate and to avoid fiscal dumping due to late transfer. The department has to continuously assist and monitor ITB to ensure compliance to ITB Act, the prescripts of the PFMA and Treasury regulations, and other related legislations. The ITB board must ensure that the post of the CFO is being filled within 3 months. It was vacant for some time for the CFO to be able to focus on his responsibility. The department has acquired farms through Farm Plus. Some of the farms have farmers who have leased the farms as they are state farms, but some of the farms are unoccupied. Let all the unoccupied farms be occupied. People need the land to work, therefore let the land be occupied. Honorable Chair, one of the pillars of the NDP is to mobilize South Africans to ensure that they are actively involved in their own development. The department needs to be congratulated for the following initiatives: the establishment of the National Reference Group to debate policy initiatives, establishment of the Council of Stakeholders in the CRDP sites, the plan of the department to establish 27 district land committees to drive development and promote equitable land redistribution, communal land boards that will be established after the communal land bill has been passed, establishment of the land rights management committees. These are the strategies of involving the citizens to drive their own development. The department as a facilitator, initiator, and the catalyst for development must ensure that all these structures are functional. This is an indication that people are governing under the ANC government by having a say about their destiny. Amandla asebantwini. Honorable Chair, South Africa it's a much better place today than it was before. Unemployment is one of the major challenges facing South Africa. Therefore, the department has planned to create job opportunities for the unemployment and promote skills through NARISEC program. 2,500 youth will be recruited and skills, although the NARISEC intake has decreased. 200 graduates will be trained and deployed in rural agricultural projects. 8,000 jobs will be created through rural development initiatives. 4,500 jobs will be created through CRDP. 994 jobs will be created through other land reform programs. The job opportunities that will be created will change the lives of the beneficiaries.
Your time is up.
Honorable Chair, we support the budget vote of the department. Thank you.
Order, honorable members. Firstly, I would like to advise honorable members that while we note that the land debate is usually emotive, we must also be able to give one another a hearing and not debate across. Our speakers do have a platform to debate. Secondly, I know that through the sitting, some of us may want to inform our constituencies through Twitter, Instagram, whatever chats. Can we please make sure that our phones are on silent? I've had a couple of phones making some noises while the sitting is on. I also want to advise honorable members, our guests who are in the gallery, that while as guests we are not allowed to participate in the debate, no matter how exciting or how irritating the points may be, we just have to become and observe the proceedings. I hope we will be able to proceed with the debate robust, yes, but respect one another. Honorable Ngwenya. Oh, apologies, Honorable T.W. Mhlongo.
Thank you, Chairperson. Bese ngizibuza ukuthi ngizoshada futhi yini. Ngakamhlongo Chair.
Yeah, bonjour, man.
Thank you. Sanibonani malunga ahloniphekileyo. Sibingelele bonke abo ministers abakhona nama deputy ministers akhona. Yebo umhlaba wethu kumele ubuye. Kodwa kuyabonakala ukuthi ama model ayashintsha minister now and then. Shintsha ama amendment act ayeza amaningi. Kodwa ngokuzwile namhlanje minister ngithanda ukukuhalalisela because uphathe part of his speech kodwa sizocheck ukuthi implementation yayenzeka na kuyo yonke into oyenzile esizoyenza oversight njenge committee. Land reform must be used as an opportunity to achieve a fair and equitable society for all, not for some. Redress must be achieved to give our people an opportunity to participate in a meaningful way in the economy. Sihlalo ngizokhuluma ngama CPA, ama Communal Property Association. The most expensive local land redistribution deal yaseMalamala game reserved eMpumalanga. Kwenzakalani la kusetshenziswa 1 billion rand. We've noted that this project has different phases, but this is not an excuse, Minister, that we need ultimately the initiate goal that we want at this project. We know to go to different phases, but I would like to call upon the Minister to note that I've received a letter from Obaba Unkosi, ohlala eMpumalanga. Minister Obaba Unkosi, ungithumele letter nge-20 April 2015. Ngizofunda le letter, kodwa le letter beyineyinkinga eziningi. Inkinga zakhona zitshengisa.
Order, honorable members, can we please allow the speaker on the podium to be heard?
Ngiyabonga
Proceed,
Chairperson.
honorable member.
Le letter lena ikhuluma ngemininingwane eminingi kuma CPA, especially eMala lapha eMpumalanga. Uthi ubaba uNkosi, he's one of the beneficiary. Uyabuza ubaba uNkosi imbuzo, Minister ngizobuza le mbuzo kuwe ukuthi uphendule ngoba ubhekile ubaba uNkosi. Uyabuza ukuthi will the dignity be restored since ngathi dignity yakhe ayikho restored. Uyabuza ukuthi will he benefit because plus minus 8 million being collected so far, but why are they not benefiting ezimali khona, Minister? Ufuna ukwazi ukuthi ku-account how much it is to date le mali lapha. Ngiyakholwa ukuthi uMinister uzophendula, ngiyambona uMinister ophendulayo. I call upon the Minister to take necessary intervention in this project and other CPA project like iRama. Ama CPA model awasebenzi, Minister, kuyabonakala there's kunama changes now and then. There's a lack of human capital, there's a lack of oversight by officials, lack of monitoring and evaluation, poor implementation of Act as so shukutizo amendwa. They don't even participate to schedule within the Act to be adhered to. There's no corporate government within implementation yayo. Corruption igcwele kuma CPA because ngathi kubonakala ukuthi ama community abona ukuthi kuya participate ngathi I corruption so into kufanele kukhulunywe ngayo, Minister, ukuthi attended to. Some chairpersons who are elected as board members ubaba uNkosi ubona ukuthi baya benefita and yena ka benefit. Chairperson, we wanted to note ukuthi CPAs will work if abantu bethu ba benefit. For an example, job opportunities, community development, training programs, skills programs. For an example, eMalamala, la ubaba uNkosi akhuluma ngakhona le letter. Yona lo yimala mala, ngumZulu phela mina. Chairperson, kunabantu
Honorable
abanezindlebe kodwa
members, please
bezwa.
don't distract the speaker. He may not be able to speak the language appropriately, but I'm sure the minister does know the project he's referring to. Proceed, Honorable Member.
Ngiyabonga mama. Imigwaqo ayilunganga khona kule phambi kwale project labantu bethu bahlala khona. Besicela minister ubheke lokho. Imodel yama CPA ayisebenzi. Sengiyophuma kule letter ngizoyishaka nawe minister this letter. Tingikhulume ngoba ubambanga indaba ye ITB, which is Ingonyama Transport. Yes, which is a public entity. ITB is not adhering to its mandate. It has failed dismally with regard to the mission and core vision. The livelihood of our people is not improving to date. The fairness as a principle must be adhered to, especially with IDP, for us to make sure that the concept of land redistribution is happening. The trust land belongs to i-community ezushilo, not to the board. Ngibona ngathi minister kunale perception la intanda ukuyisho ukuthi the ANC will rule till Jesus come back. Ne board isamile namhlanje kusho bohlala till Jesus come back. We are saying ukuthi it's uncalled for ukuthi ama board members ahlale till Jesus come back. Kumele kube noshintsho sobona improvement of our people. We question the value for money, minister. We doubt the financial expenditure, Minister ITP, we doubt. But nokuthenga ama-carpet we-million, Minister. Carpet, red carpet, Minister. Now, kuyatshengisa ukuthi kuneyinkinga laphana ku-expenditure yabo. The Auditor General has raised...
Honorable Member, your time is up. Honorable N.S. Matias.
Madam Chair, Karot Letsuma Sawana Mona. Aratla Papadi Mona. Letzotla Sibit. For the past 21 years, this department has been limping from one excuse to another, trying to
Order,
explain
honorable
its
members,
failures
can we please
to redistribute land
allow the speaker on the
in a
podium to
meaningful
be
manner
heard?
to black people who have been dispossessed of their land. Albert Feinstein says, when you repeat one thing over and over again, Honorable Minister, that is insanity. The people of Dwesakwe in the Eastern Cape, who are still impoverished today, 10 years after the settlement of that claim, the people of Makulek in Limpopo, who have been made servants to the Kruger National Park even after the settlement of that claim, the people of Kwatu in the Eastern Cape, around Queenstown, whose tenure to land is insecure, and who have failed to get any support from your grandest programs, from your government, due to nepotism and favoritism, is deeply embedded in corruption in that specific province. And all testimony to that is that the ANC has neglected the rural masses. The Khoi and the San people have been illegitimized by your own government. Evidence of this is the manner in which your government is handling the Khoi money, San land claim in the Northern Cape and anywhere else in the country. The path chosen by the ANC government since 1994 to the resolution of the land question has now been accepted by many to have failed spectacularly. Only 8% of the land has been returned back to the black people, 90% of which are considered to be failed projects. The Mala Mala 1 billion land deal remains a scandal to this very day. Use your state power to transform land, and EFF is offering you an advice. Our solution to the land question is simple. Expropriate land without compensation for equal redistribution, subdivide large farms and unproductive farms into small, manageable farms. Ban all forms of farm evictions. Use your political and state power to transform. Who are you loyal to? Are you loyal to the foreign investors, or are you loyal to the people who voted you? Shame on you. We want to remind you that, as we'll always do, that we'll continue to offer our 6% in this parliament as the economic freedom fighters to change the greatest section of the Constitution which protects private property, of which you and some of your members of the ANC continue to benefit from private property provisions of the Constitution. We want to tell you today that we reject the budget vote, and you know why we reject it? Because it's useless. And we want to remind you that as much as you have been claiming that we have transformed South Africa and all of us have to celebrate for a good story to tell, when it comes to the land question, there is nothing to tell, there's nothing that we can claim as a good story. All what we have under the leadership of the ANC is failed land transformation, because we don't have a narrative to tell about radical land transformation. And the Economic Freedom Fighter says, you together with your
Honourable
DA,
member, your
in your
time is up.
post-matrimonial relationship, enjoy it as
Honourable
still as it
member.
wise. The Economic Freedom Fighters reject this
Honourable
budget.
member, your time is up. Ilunga elihloniphekile uMpontshane. Honourable member, can we please, honourable member of the EFF,
Honorable
can you
House
please
Chairperson,
be in order? There is a member on the
the
podium.
Honorable Minister and Deputy Ministers, the well-known international singer Puze Kemis asks in one of his songs why there is progress in white areas, but there is little of that in black areas. I presume most of us know the song. Kodwa kubantu izwa lithuthuki, kodwa kube lungu lithuthuka nsuku zonke. I have always, Honourable Minister, I've always wondered if these lyrics are true. In 2009, the department developed the Comprehensive Rural Development Program. This program has got three pillars or phases. The first phase deals with human basic needs, including infrastructure and food security. The second phase deals with the rural enterprise development. And the
Order,
third
honourable
one,
member, can you please take your seat?
Honourable Chairperson, is it parliamentary?
Sorry, who is?
I'm here on your right.
Yes.
Honourable Chairperson, is it parliamentary to be abused to listen to people who can't sing?
Honourable member, can you please take your seat? That is not a point of order. Honourable Mponchane, can you please proceed?
I was saying the third phase.
Point of order, Chair.
Another interruption.
Order, honourable member. Honourable Filtane.
That was a beautiful tune. Thank you.
Honourable members, I'm sure we are all mindful of the time and that today is a Friday. I know some of you might be wanting to leave during the time at which you're
Honourable
about to leave.
Chairperson,
Honourable Mponchane,
in
can
my
you please
previous life, I was a choir master. I can offer my services. I was saying, Honourable Chairperson, that is the third phase of this program concerns the rural industries. And the vision of this program, very importantly, is to create vibrant, equitable, and sustainable rural communities. Big words indeed, but the question remains whether we are able to implement these noble intentions. For instance, you take the envisaged, one of the envisaged programs under phase one is to develop and promote green revolution. Now, to succeed in developing green revolution, we'll need inter alia the agricultural extension officers to help promote this green revolution. Now, that means that the Department of Higher Education, because I know training of officers does not fall within your competence, Honourable Minister. We need to invite the Department of Higher Education and Training. It must wake up to this need. Perhaps it can also help the minister not to focus on the visits to Cuba and Palestine if he concentrated on the training of agricultural officers. And also, Honourable Minister, one of your intentions also is to ensure radical socio-economic change and also to develop rural towns. Now, when it comes to COGTA, for instance, COGTA is busy merging some of these rural municipalities. Whilst the intention on the other side from your department is to develop those municipalities or small towns. Are we saying that the strategy is failing when on the other side, COGTA is busy merging these small rural municipalities and towns? One would like to know that, Honourable Minister. Now, I was happy, Honourable Minister, when inspiringly you quoted the former president. Now, one of his speeches immediately came to my mind that he made from this podium, where he asked the question, what happens when the dream is deferred? It explodes. Those were very important words. We
Honourable
see
Mponjane,
protests, we
your
see
time is up.
land grabs. Is it up?
Yes,
What
Honourable
about-
Member, just look at the time on your left.
Am I being compensated for the disruptions, House Chairperson?
That was compensated indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The IFP characteristically will support the budget vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Member from the DA, you had a point of order?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. I think, Chair, we are all forgetting that we are actually busy with the House. And I'm just drawing your attention to point 47, where members may not be interrupted. Chair, it says here, no member shall interrupt another member while speaking except to call attention to a point of order or a question of privilege. I think, Chair, we are falling into that trap again of just standing up and say something without calling for a point of order. So if I can ask you please to look at that.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I'm sure you heard on my rulings on both occasions that those were not points of order and warned members accordingly. So we do take note, and I'm sure your colleagues have been reminded accordingly. Honourable Deputy Minister M. Skwatsha.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, honored guests, our visitors from Indonesia and Kenya, Minister Nkwinti and other ministers present here, deputy ministers, all members of parliament present here, Manene Nani Manenegas. In this department, we are dealing with the issue of land, and land is key to ensuring that the long-sad story of colonialism and apartheid in our country has a happy ending. Central to the work of our department is the National Development Plan, which has been endorsed by the majority of parties in our country to guide us to 2030. Chapter 6 of the NDP says an integrated and inclusive rural economy is the goal that we pursue. Honorable members, a leading question at this time might be, do those of us who in the past have said, I support the NDP, truly mean it? I mentioned this since listening on Monday to television on the 4th of May. The honorable leader of the opposition, who previously pledged his loyalty to the NDP, appeared on television saying, I quote him, "I do not support everything that is on the NDP. Of course, there are elements of it that are flawed, that are wrong. For example, the focus is on how we do land reform. There are some challenges there," close quotes. This immediately contradicts his outgoing leader, Helen Zille, who had this to say. I quote her, "The Western Cape is prepared to move beyond this highly successful model to pilot the NDP's proposal. We are very keen to participate with all role players to make it succeed and to make people who work the land the owners of the land." Close quotes. It appears, or others are individuals, it appears that the opposition cannot decide whether they support the NDP or not. For us, there is no confusion. We are busy implementing it. Chapter 6 of the NDP sets a target of transferring 20% of agricultural land to black people by 2030. 20% of the 82 million hectares of agricultural land translates into 16.4 million hectares. From 94 to December 2014, the state transferred 7.5 million hectares, or 46% of the 16.4 million hectares, to black farmers. Of the 7.5 million hectares already transferred, 4.4 million hectares were redistributed land, and 3.1 million hectares was restitution in settlement of land claims. To meet the NDP target, we need to transfer another 8.9 million hectares of agricultural land by 2030. For the last financial year, the department acquired 209,580 hectares at a cost of 1.2 billion. For the current financial year, we intend acquiring 208,350 hectares at a cost of 1.253 billion. The intention of land acquisition is to recreate the class of black commercial farmers, which was deliberately destroyed by the 1913 Land Act and similar colonial apartheid laws. In his State of the Nation address, His Excellency President Zuma outlined a 9-point plan to ignite growth and create jobs. The second of the 9 points is revitalizing agriculture and the agro-processing value chain. This is the context in which the department is implementing and refining the Recapitalization and Development Program. The program was designed to help struggling land reform farms that have received insufficient support but have the potential to become successful. These farms were supposed to receive technical and financial support from the department. The Department of Monitoring and Evaluation in the Presidency conducted a review and made proposal to make the program more effective. The Portfolio Committee has been briefed on the findings, challenges, and the turnaround plan. There are numerous success stories, some of which were related during Portfolio Committee meetings. For example, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda in the Northwest, a Selami poultry district in which received RADP money, now has a contract with Supreme Poultry, to whom they sold over 270,000 birds in December 2013. Much attention has been given to ensure that we make well-considered decisions on the selection of farms to be acquired and the beneficiaries of allocated farms, as well as which farms to recapitalize. The National Land Allocation and Recapitalization Control Committee was established in 2013 to ensure that land reform proposals for acquisition, allocation, recapitalization, and development are consistent with government policy. Money will also be allocated for production of key commodities identified in the APEP for the agri-parks by rural producers outside of the land reform farms. This includes rural village-based producers and owners of their own land. In addition, state land has been identified and allocated for the Animal and Field Management Program and the River Valley Catalytic Program. We're also acting on another NDP proposal, the creation of district land committees, which we are now calling district land reform committees, which will be responsible for identifying 20% of the commercial agricultural land in the district and giving commercial farmers the option of assisting its transfer to black farmers. In order to implement the NDP's recommendations, these committees will identify farms suitable for acquisition by government, advise the minister on strategic support needs for such farms, identify and interview potential candidates for farm allocation, advise the minister on resolving land rights conflicts. The department will also give administrative and secretariat assistance and training to the committees. In the current year, we'll implement new guidelines for the selection of beneficiaries for land reform. Madam Chair, the average South African farmer is 62 years old. For this reason, we have recently created an incubation program for agricultural graduates. They will be linked to land reform farms as part of a mentorship program. Honorable members, I now turn to land claims. I want to advise the Honorable Mhlongo that in future, gqithisa ileta ka-minister ku-minister. Otherwise, you are delaying the Honorable Nkosi. La letter belongs there, not to you. This year, the Commission aims to settle 1,445 claims. Emphasis will also be placed on researching claims received in the first lodgement period. To cope with the numbers of claims, the Commission is receiving the current lodgement period. An electronic lodgement system has been developed. Claims can be submitted at any of the 14 lodgement offices. The Commission has also produced mobile lodgement offices. Luyaqhuma ngoku uthuli ezilalini. In Qwaqwa, 2 of those lodgement offices are there, Hems Park and Manasseh Maruping. On Monday, we were in Libode, kwikumkani yamaMpondo. Aluzuqhuma ngomso luqhuma ngoku. Walala wasala. We have made good progress to the second phase of the land audit. The focus of phase 2 of land audit will be on individuals who own 48.2% of the country's land, 46.5 million hectares. The exercise will determine ownership in terms of nationality, race, and gender. As part of the worldwide celebrations of the International MAP Year, planned for the years 2015 and 2016, our department recently hosted a delegation of geospatial experts from 9 countries, including representatives of the Executive Committee of International Cartographic Association. Honorable members, we are short of young farmers and we are also short of surveyors. Since 2008, the department has been offering bursaries to aspirant students to obtain qualifications in this regard. Honorable Chair, communication plays an important role in accurately portraying the department's multiple functions by informing the media and citizens. This includes their roles in rural development and land reform initiatives. We are working to improve our communications for the coming year. The honorable members, our deeds and geometric systems rank among the best in the world. They are, however, outdated, and the modernization of our cadastre system was initiated 2 years ago. The process was, however, suspended in the wake of allegations of maladministration. The matter was referred to the SIU. The SIU brought a court application against Sita Gijima and the department. This process was suspended in December 2014. Subsequently, the project has been rescoped, upgraded. The cadastre IT infrastructure is scheduled for completion this year at a cost of 164 million.
Honorable Deputy Minister, your time is up.
Honorable members and minister, the only thing that I want to say is, godukani zizwe liphelile ityala. Godukani bantu phelile into ebithethwa.
Honorable Deputy Minister, your time is up. Lungehloniphekile uFiltani.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Minister and
It's the
Deputies.
chairperson, honorable
Chairperson,
member,
sorry.
yes, thank you.
My apologies. Chair. Honored guests from local as well as from elsewhere. The United Democratic Movement supports the budget as a matter of principle as well as for practical considerations. Without it, we cannot move forward. However, we hope that there shall be no under-expenditure this year. There was an under-expenditure of over 5 million last year, and that is one of the reasons why I feel I must stress this point. As the UDM, we appreciate, Honorable Minister, the fact that you made a written commitment to settle the 1998 land claim of Bazia. That is welcome news. We're certain that this commitment will lead to unprecedented economic boom in the Bazia area and the KSD local municipality. We very much appreciate that. During the public hearings in February 2015, a very strong public opinion was registered with regard to a possibility of limiting the scope of local government, scope of rural development to agriculture only, when in fact it covers a whole range of sectors that link directly to socio-economic development of our communities. Land reform is, according to our understanding, not necessarily rural development exclusively, as these functions cut across all settlements, be they rural or urban. There is a need to draw clear lines between the functions of the Department of Rural Development as well as those of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. This is given more importance seeing that at provincial level, these departments dovetail under one executive authority. This needs attention. Rural development should, by and large, focus on land acquisition, secure tenure and thereof, development of appropriate infrastructure and consultation with relevant stakeholders for use by owners to advance their economic goals. Farm workers should be paid a goodwill in cash on the purchase of those farms. The reason we're advancing this proposal, Minister, the Honorable Minister, is because they contribute to the success, economic success of those farms. That's why we're coming out strongly on this. It shouldn't be a question of just paying the owner of the farm and then they are left to struggle. It remains a constant concern that the Ngonyama Trust Board continues to falter with respect to compliance issues, yet not demonstrating community socio-economic beneficiation from the share of the public purse that it gets on an annual basis. If the Ngonyama Trust still has to exist, the Minister should consider reconceptualizing its mandate with a new and different funding model. What the board does now is diametrically opposed to their stated mission. Most of the post-settlement programs of the department that we visited in the Northern Cape in November were either administratively problematic or in a state of operational collapse, except those that are being run with honest partners. This department has a strong constitutional mandate to discharge, and we're certain that with the current leadership, it has all the potential to make the lives of the ordinary people better. Parting short, just do it and do what the majority of South Africans expect of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I would like to welcome the school that has joined us in this debate. Unfortunately, I don't yet have their name, but you are welcome. Honorable Groenewald.
Achtbare Voorzitter, I want to say to the Honourable Minister, when he started his speech, that we start and begin with the beginning. And he quoted the preamble of the Constitution. Honourable Minister, yes, let me start there. I am an Afrikaner. I am a white man, I'm a South African, and I'm a white African. And the part you referred in the preamble, that's we must honor those people who built and developed this land. My ancestors are part of that, and you will have to deal with that. Maar ek wil vir die agbare minister sê, u het ingrypende aankondigings gemaak. Die feit dat u sekere grondplafonne daar stel, en dat u dan sê daar sal spesiale gevalle wees, en dan sê u die res gaan basies onteien word. Dit beteken, die regering van die dag het nou afstand gedoen van sy aanvanklike beleid en standpunt van 30% van herverdeling van wit-blanke landbougrond na swart boere toe. U het nou afstand gedoen daarvoor. Agbare minister, ek is werklik teleurgesteld in u, want die ANC kan baie duidelik nie hulle woord hou nie. En die rede hoekom ek dit sê is dat u het voor die verkiesing, nadat u die knie gebuig het voor die EFF, het u gekom met die beginsel van die 50-50 verdeling. En toe het u gesê dat u gee die landbouorganisasies 'n geleentheid om met voorstelle te kom. Maar nog voordat die tydperk verstryk het van einde Maart, toe kom die president en hy kom maak aankondigings oor die 50-50 verdeling. Dit is niks anders as om die landbouorganisasies te misken. Want hoekom moet jy nou nog verdere voorstelle maak, as daar klaar besluit is in die regering, dat hulle net eenvoudig voortgaan? U is werklik soos die spreekwoordelike volstruis wat sy kop in die sand druk. U het hier gestaan en gesê, dat die banke, verskeie organisasies, belangegroepe, sê vir u, dat die feit dat u wil verhoed dat buitelanders grond in Suid-Afrika moet besit, is nie aanvaarbaar nie. Maar u sê eintlik, u steur u nie daaraan nie. U gaan net eenvoudig voort. Agbare minister, die grondhervorming in Suid-Afrika het misluk tot op hierdie stadium as gevolg van onbevoegdheid in die departement, en ek praat van oor al die jare, korrupsie wat daar plaasgevind het. U self het erken dat feitelik 90% van alle grondhervormingsprojekte in Suid-Afrika het misluk. Maar u gaan net eenvoudig voort. U wil nou net eenvoudig die grond gaan onteien. Agbare minister, waar gaan u die geld kry om dit te doen? Of sê u eintlik, ons wil die grond vat en ons sal besluit wat julle betaal word. En dan sê ek vir u, u skep 'n resep vir konflik in Suid-Afrika, 'n konflik oor grond wat nie u of die ANC regering sal kan hanteer nie. Ek dank u.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Madisha.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you. In terms of the expropriation bill, the state would be empowered to take property upfront by notice of expropriation to the owner and leave it to those affected to seek redress in the courts. Common law dictates that the state cannot simply seize property. Apart here from, the Constitution itself sets out a number of requirements that must be fulfilled for a lawful expropriation to take effect. The expropriation bill, in its current format, is both unlawful and unconstitutional. The bill in its present form is draconian, giving all state entities the power to take from farmers, from firms, from miners, and ordinary South Africans their most important assets. Instead of building a nation, building social cohesion, building a winning economy, the ANC is intent on destruction. Therefore, the bill, one, undermines property and home ownership. Two, will deter growth, investment, and job creation. Three,
contradicts the NDP, and 4 is counterproductive to the eradication of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. That changes are required to the current expropriation legislation is a given fact. What is also a given fact is that the current expropriation bill is unlawful, unconstitutional, and counterproductive to the well-being of our nation. The pressure on our cities, no.
Honorable members, Honorable Madisha.
I'll wait a bit. Did you hear what she said? Please, can you just stop the chime there? Did you hear what that woman said to me?
What woman? Honorable members.
That member, she says to me, Wapota. Do you understand what that says?
Honorable members.
I absolutely cannot agree with that.
Honorable members.
Absolutely.
Okay, Honorable Madisha, please sit down then.
No, you need to deal with that.
That's why I'm saying sit down.
You need to deal with that.
Honorable members, can you make it easy for members who are making their speeches to finish their speeches and be heard? Did any honorable member say Wapota?
She did. There she is. There she is.
Okay, honorable member, please withdraw that.
I'll wait for you, Chairperson. Okay?
Honorable Madisha.
There she is.
Honorable Madisha, sit down. You've referred the matter to me. I'm dealing with it. Honorable member, can you withdraw?
I withdraw.
Thank you.
You must never repeat that kind of thing.
Honorable Madisha.
You must never do that.
You're eating on your time. No, you are not controlling him, Honorable Madisha. You are eating onto your time. We've done the ruling, and you're not controlling here the time, whether we stop the clock or what. You are eating into your time. Honorable Madisha.
No, wait. Is that how you
The
run
clock is
things,
moving. Your clock is moving, Honorable Madisha.
You're not going to run things like that. Okay, let me go on. On these 8 pages I have here. And say, Minister, that what is also a given fact is that the current expropriation bill is unlawful, is unconstitutional, and counterproductive to the well-being of our nation. The pressure on our cities, like the cities elsewhere in the world, is enormous and unrelenting. This is attributable to the failure of rural development. The mandate of the department is to create an equitable and sustainable land dispensation. As such, it must serve as a catalyst for rural development. We hear the department endlessly repeating its mission of creating sustainable rural livelihoods, decent work, social development, and economic advancement for all. We give this department 1 out of 100 because it has not achieved anything altogether. It is a dismal and tragic failure. The people from the rural areas continue to move out because there is no development where they live. Restitution remains unfinished business. Those given land have generally not made a go of it at all. Yes?
Your time is up.
I will sit down.
Honorable Madisha. Honorable Madisha. Honorable Madisha.
Minister,
Honorable
there are
Madisha.
10 pages here that I wanted to read, okay? And I will call them to come and give this to you so that you can look into that. But I want to insist. And chairperson,
Honorable Madisha.
you chairperson, you wait.
Honorable Madisha.
I want to insist that if this is the kind of ANC that some of us were in for 3 decades, then we don't understand.
On a point
the
of
kind
order,
thing that is
Honorable
happening.
Chairperson.
This is wrong. This is what we don't
Honorable
understand.
Chairperson.
You want us
It
to
is
remove
wrong.
you?
It is wrong.
Honorable
It is
Chairperson,
not
the
taking us
honorable
anywhere.
member is out of order. He's
It is not
eating on
taking us
other
anywhere.
people's time.
Honorable
You
Madisha.
wasted our time. You wasted
Honorable
our time,
Madisha.
And as a result of that, we could not go on with what we're supposed to say here. It is wrong.
You are out of order, Honorable Madisha. You are out of order,
Just like all
and
these
that's not
people
showing
who've-
respect for this house.
You yourself have wasted our time.
You are out of order, Honorable
Just like
Madisha.
yourself.
Honorable Tatley. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, Honorable Malkas.
Chair, apartheid restrictions on African land and home ownership were among the most damaging aspects of past racial discrimination. Since these restrictions began to crumble in 1975 and were finally abolished in 1991, African ownership of houses, land, and other assets has finally been able to grow and has done so exponentially. Honourable Minister, we do appeal to you to do whatever it takes to ensure this growth is not undermined. The ACDP is extremely concerned that the expropriation bill of 2015, recently put forward by Public Works, will make it much harder to build prosperity, overcome past disadvantage by undermining property rights, deterring investment, and choking off growth and jobs. What input has this ministry had in terms of this legislation, which will impact enormously on developmental potential? The ACDP view is that while expropriation in the public interest as well as for public purposes is clearly a necessity, compensation cannot be wished away without negative consequences for the country as a whole. In order to decide what is just and equitable compensation, we do note the proposal of the IRR that market value should be weighed against the 4 discount factors listed in the Constitution, which include the history of the property and the extent to which the state has previously funded its purchase, as well as compensation for consequential loss. The ACDP is concerned that the present bill overlooks requirements that should be met before any expropriation can be valid under the Constitution and takes away the jurisdiction of the courts by allowing them to adjudicate solely on the compensation offered and not on the overall validity of the expropriation. It also limits court review in that the owner would have only 60 days to sue for an additional compensation, failing which they are deemed to have accepted the state's offer. Now, South Africa, we are told, needs growth of 6% of GDP a year, plus increased investment and employment, and rural development is as dependent on this as any other sector. The concern is that this bill threatens to reverse any gains we have made in this direction. Under its provisions, more and more land and other assets will become vested in the state, disempowering all South Africans. We only have to look north to Zimbabwe, west to Venezuela, and east to North Korea to understand why this bill must be rejected in its present form. Property rights are essential to individual prosperity and political freedom, and we appeal to you, Honourable Minister, to ensure through this department that they are not eroded. The ACDP would like to support this budget and the important work that the department has to do. We are, however, very concerned about aspects of pending legislative proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tatley. Honorable Chabele.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable ministers and deputies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. South Africa has entered its second decade of freedom, characterized by the strengthening of democracy and acceleration of the program to improve the quality of life of all. Also, the year 2015 marks the 60th anniversary of the Freedom Charter, as adopted in Kliptown 1955. Therefore, a point of departure for this debate is that land must be shared among those who work it. That's our point of departure. Further, that the status quo in the relation of property, power and production in many large-scale commercial farming areas and communal areas, which is skewed and biased against the poor, poses an enormous risk to stability of South Africa. The African National Congress, as part of its struggle against apartheid, targeted redress of the land injustices. For example, on the occasion of the 73rd anniversary of the ANC on January 8, 1985, one of the greatest stalwarts of our movement, the late Comrade Oliver Tambo, delivered a message to the NEC of the African National Congress in which he articulated the agency of this matter, and he said, I quote, the dispossession of our people of the land that is theirs remain one of the most burning national grievances. The gross injustice of this historic crime has been compounded by the racist, arrogant attempt to deprive the African majority of their inalienable birthright as citizens of their country, South Africa. Millions of our people in the rural areas are brutally exploited as agricultural workers on farms carved out of their own ancestral lands. Their daily lives are dominated by the dictates of the racist white farmers and agricultural companies whom they have absolutely no redress because they are the least organized and mobilized. The land question must be resolved, if needs be, the hard way. The hard way. I just pray that we should not get to the hard way, to resolving it the hard way, but with the kind of attitudes that we get from some racists in this country, who when the Minister of Labor said the minimum wage for farm workers, decides then that they must then, get rid of South Africans and replace them with non-documented people that they think they can exploit without fear. There are laws in this country. And all people who work within the borders of South Africa, regardless of whether they are documented and not documented, whether they are South Africans or non-South Africans, are protected by the labor laws in this country. As the leader of society, the ANC has led the struggle of the people of South Africa for the achievement of democracy, resoundingly being given a mandate by the electorate since 1994 to lead the society. The ANC-led government set out to redistribute land in pursuit of social justice. Such a program of land reform has been considered to be a central and driving force for a program of rural development. Over the years, the society has called for a faster pace of redistribution of land, criticized land reform for being detached from rural development. The 52nd Congress, National Conference of the ANC in 2007, amongst others, acknowledged the need to ensure that approaches to land reform achieved their outcome at the scale anticipated. Further, the conference reaffirmed a need to locate land reform within a broader strategy of rural development. Hence, our comprehensive rural development program and agrarian transformation as a strategy to alter the structure of our rural economy. For insightful clarity, ANC conference resolutions, policy pronouncements from the NEC and Cabinet Makgotla, and the January 8 statements and sonas are points of reference. From this, two broad areas that are of vital significance to rural development and land reform are radical socio-economic transformation as espoused in our election manifesto. And employment in the agriculture and agro-processing sectors as proposed in the National Development Plan. How can the program of land reform, restitution, redistribution, tenure reform and development support and contribute to these broad objectives? The NDP proposes a multifaceted approach to redress the persisting manifestation of the ills of colonialism and apartheid, unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Such multifaceted approach include creation of more jobs through agricultural development, based on an effective land reform and the growth of irrigated agriculture and land production. This can be seen as one of the ways to contribute to the development of an inclusive rural economy. The ANC government, therefore, continues to respond accordingly to the challenges that comes with implementation of programs aiming to attain social change. With regard to restitution, the ANC election manifesto made the following commitments: accelerate the settlement of the remaining land claims submitted before the cutoff date of 1998, reopen the period of the lodgement of claims for restitution of land for a period of 5 years, commencing in 2014, and codify the exceptions to the 1913 cutoff dates for the descendants of the Khoi and San, and identify affected heritage sites and historical landmarks. 20 years ago, Madam Chair, in 1994, this very House passed the restitution of land rights, in terms of which 79,696 land claims were received by the Commission on Restitution of Land Rights by 31st of December 1998. By December 2014, only more than 98% of these land claims had been settled. Approximately 8,200 claims are not as settled as yet. By March 2014, restitution had returned over 3 million hectares of land to its rightful people. 3 million hectares, benefiting over 300,000 households and about 1.8 million beneficiaries. Ziyaqhuba. It has impacted a lot of more people than any other program of land reform. From an oversight perspective, a great deal of work was indeed achieved over the last 2 decades of our democracy. Indeed, successes should be celebrated. We also draw lessons to unlock anomalies experienced in the process of restoring rights in land to victims of apartheid and forced removals. The Land Claim Court is overburdened with cases, and it takes too long to get the cases finalized in this court. From the Portfolio Committee on Rural Development and Land Reform, oversight work reveals that there are plans and programs being implemented to mitigate against the limitations cited. Honorable Minister, I think we need to engage with the judiciary, the justice cluster. There's no reason why magistrates cannot deal with certain cases of disputes related to land. Because in many instances you find that there will be clashes between traditional authorities in terms of your people are staying in my area and your people are in the other side of the area, and who, when it comes to loyalty, do, these people who are not necessarily belonging to Chief Skosana, but they are the Nchabelings, when they are living in the Skosana area, they've got to respect the chief in that area. And those kind of cases can be handled by magistrates. They don't even have to go to the high courts. I think we need to engage at that level and see what interventions can be made. There are other interventions in terms of legislative interventions that the committee and the department are involved in. The Restitution of Land Right Amendment Act 2014, apart from the reopening of the development of the land claim to cater for those people that miss opportunity to claim before 1998, this amendment makes more progressive provisions to assist to take the process forward and faster. Such are the following creations of the National Land Register to better manage the database,
Honorable Chabile.
prioritization of land claims lodged before 1998.
Honorable Chabile, your time is up.
The ANC support this budget as a tool. EFF said the budget is useless, but the budget is a very
Honorable
good
Chabile.
instrument to measure and monitor progress. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister for Rural Development and Land Reform, Honorable Mashir Khodlamin.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Our greetings to our minister, deputy ministers, members of parliament who are present here, our officials, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On this, the 60th of anniversary of the Freedom Charter, we remember the famous words, I quote, "South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white," close quote. His Excellency the President, in the State of the Nation address, announced a 9-point plan to turn around the South African economy, and the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform has a significant role to play in several of the points announced, but most importantly, we have a key role in revitalizing agriculture and the agro-processing value chain. Given the nature of our mandate of rural development, we'll also be driving the initiatives to give effect to the unlocking SMMEs, co-ops, township, and rural enterprise potential. Chairperson, our Constitution exhorts us to improve the quality of life of all citizens and free the potential of each person. And we all share the responsibility of finding the best way to do this. Since shortly after we opened our doors as the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform in 2009, our flagship project has been the Comprehensive Rural Development Program. The sole objectives of this CRDP is to transform the rural economy. That means bringing really benefits to rural people and the poor across South Africa. It means meeting basic human needs, enabling enterprise development, and providing vital infrastructure. We have encountered and cleared many obstacles, yet many remains. Chairperson, radical change must bring really benefit to rural people and the poor across South Africa. The National Development Plan provides a long-term vision for accelerating development so that food security can increase, unemployment and inequality be reduced, creating more inclusive society. This will be achieved through diligent implementation of our plans and programs as articulated in our APP. Chairperson, the department supports numerous socio-economic infrastructure projects. One of these completed last year is the Beaufort West Youth Hub. It consists of a TVET college for the youth, community swimming pool, gymnasium, community amphitheater, and a combo court for several sport disciplines. Total cost was 55 million. This facility and other like it underscored our commitment to place youth at the center of development by giving them opportunities to accelerate the skills required to build our country. Over the past financial year, the Animal and Field Management Program has gained momentum across the country within more than 200 projects implemented. Significant progress was made in KwaZulu-Natal, where several projects were completed at a value of 45 million, benefiting 2,000 livestock farmers. Over the past years, we have also implemented 31 projects to revitalize 5 irrigation schemes across the country, which key focus to KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, Eastern Cape, and Northwest, through the implementation of the River Valley Catalytic Program, which deals primarily with the revitalization of irrigation schemes and agricultural development along river bands in South Africa. This financial year, we intend to build on the gain that we have achieved thus far. In the State of the Nation, His Excellency the President announced the establishment of a district agri-park. Chairperson, An agri-park will, in the medium term, be established in all 44 districts of South Africa. An agri-park will essentially ensure development from primary production through the processing and value adding, while at the same time fostering development of related enterprise. The agri-park will be designed in a manner that allow hub of the model to eventually emerge into a center for various activities, not limited to agriculture, including warehousing, processing, retails, input, suppliers, distribution, service access, financial services, market access, training and development. These parks will organize and mobilize farmers and agribusiness entrepreneurs. Partnership with government departments such as the Department of Agriculture, DTI, and the small businesses, COGTA, Department of Water, and provincial department and district municipalities is critical to develop economic infrastructure like roads, energy, water, ICT, and transportation and logistic corridors that support the agri-park value chain. Honorable Chairperson, we are looking to the agri-park model to achieve a transformation breakthrough, improving capacity and production of smallholder farmer value chain development, market access, encouraging private farmers' participation and investment, and more significantly, ensuring that resources are better utilized through focused intervention that can contribute to significant job creation. In this financial year, the department will drive the establishment of the agri-park using the current program as the levers for implementation. The following program will assist us to drive the initiative: the River Valley Catholic Program, Animal and Field Management Program, Enterprise and Industrial Development, Infrastructure Development, and the NARISEC Program. Honorable Chair, since the instruction in the SONA, work has been progressing steadily. An evidence-based approach is being followed to ensure that all pertinent issues from production to supply and market access are considered to mitigate risk in the implementation. To this end, detailed analysis has been conducted looking at several variables to ensure that areas selected for the agri-park development are based on economic advantage and fundamental element of the value chain for dominant commodities production in the defined areas. The following analysis has been completed: socio-economic, commodity value chain, community, infrastructure including roads, energy, water, agro-processing, facilities and others, income and economic data as provided by the Department of Economic Development. The analysis work has been done in partnership with the Department of Agriculture, EDD, and CSIR. Based on the above, the department has consultative sessions with provincial and local government. As a result, these interaction sites have been identified in nearly all the 27 districts across the country, and in some area, work has been already commenced. The intention is that many of the activities will run simultaneously to ensure that we are able to meet the deadline of being on the ground with the implementation by September. Given the current challenges faced by black smallholder farmers in production and market access, as well as limited inroads they have made into the agricultural value chain, it is proposed that the state will develop a support model for the agri-park for a period of 10 years to ensure sustainability. The agri-park will create a class of black commercial farmers that has the necessary technical expertise and the ability to supply the market sustainably and the desired market quality. This will ensure rural economy transformation and food security for our community in the rural areas. The department has committed 2 billion for the implementation of the agri-park program this year, and this will allocate across the district with an additional portion of the resources being made available to the most vulnerable municipalities to assist with technical support and capacity to drive this initiative. To ensure that we have the required technical capacity both at national and district level to roll out simultaneously in all districts, a project management unit with satellite district offices will be established as an implementation support mechanism. In this financial year, 110 million will be invested in 20 projects to support the River Valley Catalytic Program. The primary focus will be to vitalize the irrigation schemes and development of smallholder farmers, focusing on horticulture, grain, and lucerne to support the livestock industry. 174 million will be invested in animal health management program, which will focus on rehabilitation and of a degraded land to improve crop production, depushing and infrastructure to support the livestock industry. 223 million will be invested in agro-processing infrastructure to drive the development of the hub of the agri-park model. This will include various types of infrastructure to support the various commodities, including abattoirs, mills, dairies, and silos, and others. We have also reorganized our industry and enterprise to support programs focusing on certain key areas that will support smallholder farmers, women, youth, and people with disabilities. 208 million will be invested to support farmers to improve their production and other related enterprise directly linked to the agri-park model. This support will include capacity building, business planning, and operating capital. We will work closely with the Department of Small Business Development and the Department of Agriculture and other state-owned enterprises that can assist the business development. Enterprise will support it to develop the following commodities: livestock, poultry, grain, horticulture, among others. We will in this year also focus on development of enterprise that focus on niche crops and aquaculture. We will be working closely with the related department to ensure that we utilize fully the state market and 30% set aside as announced by His Excellency the President, with a specific focus on the commodities produced in the agri-park aligned to the APEP. The Rural Industry Department program will also investigate quality model that will give rural people access into value chain industries. We'll also build on the work that has started in the development of the art and craft industry in the rural areas. More than 1,000 women have been trained and assisted in KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Eastern Cape. We have been able to drive this program through a partnership with Umninizo Trading. A strategy is being finalized to upscale this program in this financial year to ensure that it is expanded and extended to all provinces and also include women in all the various sectors of the industry. To support this cooperative with market access, the department has helped to establish a retail outlet in Durban. This, together with the trade fair that cooperatives have been able to participate, it has significantly improved access to domestic and various international markets. 37 million will be invested this year to build on this work. This can become a significant job driver in rural areas. In the past year, we supported the Abasugi
Honorable
Cooperative.
Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Honorable Mbinda.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, Minister Nkwinti, I can see you are slowly getting there. The PAC views the Department of Rural Development and Land Affairs as the foundation of transformation and national sovereignty. There can never be a sustainable food security without land reform. There can never be food safety without rural human resource development. Nevertheless, the department risks being the old Department of Native Affairs or being the Department of Bantu Administration and Development. The mandate is too wide. The department is expected to be a state within a state, although with the paradigm shift, the department is pregnant with opportunities. It can push this nation to have its independence from invisible external controls. The PAC put to this House that there is no nation that can determine its destiny without control of its land. The state currently owns less than 15% of the land. As we heard on Tuesday from the Department of Public Works, government is intending to sell more land. So municipalities led by Capital City, its auctioning program. Land is critical productive asset. Hence foreigners control us through our own land. Landlessness has made indigenous people a pariah in the land of our birth, as Sol Plaatje observed in 1913. Therefore, we call to this department to speed up the bill to prevent foreign ownership of land. The nightmare cannot be solved with a willing buyer, willing seller approach, even with the Survey General Office. The problem will stay with us as long as we use the same evaluation methodology. The more the Surveyor General employ the same evaluators and evaluation agency, the land will be out of reach. The PAC calls for a new logic on land evaluation. It calls for a new methodology with fundamental different factors and variables. As the PAC of Azania, we would like to state that the rural poverty is a direct result of removal from arable land. Rural life is peasantry life, therefore dependent on productivity of land. Land that has low production capacity is discouraging to rural communities. It cannot be the center of gravity for the local economies. Rural industries can only be facilitated from the major crop. Repealing of Section 25 of the Constitution is the answer. The PAC is thrilled by the use of technology and mastering of land data, the move from a manual to a sophisticated system without compromising information security.
Honorable Mbinda.
Has displeased the nation. In saying so, the PAC of Azania is in favor of the vote.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mbinda. Honorable Stein.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, Minister Quinty spoke here today about his ready-to-govern document. You will see the benches of the Democratic Alliance is empty here today. We are here to make sure, Chairperson, that we also prepare our ready-to-govern document so that we can take this country forward. We have the Deputy Minister that laughs so hard. Just look at the results of Fort Hare, and that is what is to come in the future. Chairperson, this department is causing massive uncertainty in the agricultural sector. They are alternating the taps between hot and cold. First, the minister accuses the agricultural sector of not coming to the party with proposals on land reform. Then the sector responds by providing proposals. Minister Quinty praises them and then announced that we can work on implementation plan. Next minute, the president announced new plans, including land caps and the so-called 50-50 model. These announcements even had Mr. Mantashe confused, and Minister Zokwana, who's sitting here, told the farmers that they must not worry about these proposals because it is only a negotiating tactic. Well, today, Minister, you propose something else, that all land above 5,000 hectares will be expropriated. That's what I heard. I have unfortunately not seen your speech, and I will have to look at it again. So, Minister, can you clearly come out here today and tell all people in South Africa what is it to expect from this government? Because every 3 months you propose something else. People cannot plan properly. Minister, it is also not good enough to have these massive talk shops where you call thousands of people together. It's good for participation. But no one can sit down and actually start planning with you. I've met with the farmers, FASA and Agri-SA, to talk about the issue of agri-parks. We support the agri-parks principle, but no one knows how it's going to be implemented. You say, Minister, that it's going to be implemented in September this year, 2 billion rand, which is great. We want implementation, Minister, but not in a way that you are doing it. You announce things, run with something, and then come up with something again after 6 months. There is no plan that everyone can work together and make sure that we implement. Even Minister Zokwana, we have asked the Department of Agriculture what is their role in the implementation of agri-parks. They cannot properly tell us. So there is no proper plan. I'm telling you today, Minister, all these plans are to ensure that the ANC government stay in power. You cannot give anything
Honourable
else to your,
Chairperson.
Honorable member.
I'm raising on a point of order.
Yes,
The member is not addressing you, he's addressing the minister.
I accept that, Honourable Chair.
Honorable
Through you.
member. Yes, continue.
Yes. I want to speak to the Honourable Deputy Minister Skwatsha. The DA supports land reform. We also support sections of the NDP. There are all those sections that we don't support. And again, on the section of the land reform, if you read that, what does it say? There is nothing about what the minister have announced here today. So how can we support a document that changes every now and again? What Honourable Chair, I know what we support. We all know and agree. For example, we don't support the land caps. It's unheard of in a country where there are currently 13,000 farms on the market that a government implement such a drastic measure that can put this country in a food insecure state. And all the mentions that the minister had made of other countries where this has been implemented is a total different scenario from what is happening in South Africa. South Africa is a dry country. I am asking you today here, Minister, you tell me, if you cut up sections in the Karoo, how are people going to get water for their stock? How are you going to say, this is your 5,000 portion? There's a reason why farms in South Africa is big. It is not because people just want more and more and more and more. It is not economically viable to have small farms in certain areas of South Africa. Minister, the other one that I wanted to talk to you about is that, in fact, Chairperson, the Democratic Alliance would have put a bigger budget towards land reform. That's also one of the problems that we have, the NTB Deputy Minister, is that you don't put enough money towards land reform. You tell communities that they must put in claims, but you reduce the budget. It just doesn't make sense. So, but listening to the expropriation now, I maybe understand what you want to do. You want to scare farmers off the land so that the land value can fall, so that the state can get the land for free. And maybe that is, there's a coalition without the, yes. So, I want to ask you also, Minister, I spoke to some farmers in Limpopo, and they were in agreement with the government that they would be buying land after a certain period when they were renting. They have now rented certain land for 24 years. The other day they asked me, here is a document, look at it, when will this land become mine? And the document says to them, lease without the option to purchase. So you are also lying to your communities that you are representing, Minister, because they have a contract that has unilaterally changed between what the contract said in the beginning and what the contract is saying now. Suddenly, people don't have the option to purchase, although they had it for 24 years. So, Minister, I think you need to do the honourable thing here today and tell the farmers of South Africa what can they expect from this government, because every now and again there is something else on the table. Lastly, I want to talk about the whole thing of willing buyer, willing seller, which is now off the table, and we agree with the Constitution. You answered me, Honourable Chair, through you, in a written question to the Minister on the market value of a certain piece of land in the Eastern Cape. You said that the value of that land was about 2.9 million rand, although the department bought it for 7 million rand. We need to get clarity on things like this. It is for reasons like this that 70 billion rand land reform money has almost bought only 50% of the total value of agricultural land in South Africa. If your department was serious about land reform and made sure that there was no corruption and that things went the way that it was supposed to go. The
Honourable
ANC
Steyn.
would have bought already 50% of South African land today. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Mnguni.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, the Honorable Minister and Deputies in the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform, the other Honorable Ministers in our midst and the Deputies, our distinguished international guests from Indonesia and Kenya, the Portfolio Committee Chair and Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, members of this august House, the DG and leading officials of the department, Chief Land Claims Commissioner, commissioners, and some of your officials, Ngonyama Trust Board delegation, distinguished guests, academia, media, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, compatriots, and friends. Once again, we are assembling this House shortly after the 21st anniversary of the 27th April 1994 hallmark democratic breakthrough that saw the historical transfer of power from the hands of the white minority regime to the hands of the majority, under the democratic leadership of the ANC, the People's Vanguard Liberation Movement. We meet under the umbrella of the 5th Democratic Parliament as voted for exactly a year ago on the 7th of May 2014 through the 7th of May 2014 national and provincial elections, where the People's Vanguard Liberation Movement, the ANC, through yet another landslide victory, was thus given a further mandate to continue to expedite the unfolding transformation agenda. In particular, the ANC would do this by engaging an even faster and more vigorous gear called, in analytical terms, the second phase of the National Democratic Revolution, the radical economic transformation phase. The Honorable House Chair, the 5th Parliament will never be like any other parliament before it, particularly due to a characteristic existence of an unholy, opportunistic, oppositionist alliance of the uneasy bedfellows, the DA and the EFF. I just want to go to that a little bit. Time permitting, it would have been useful to expose this opportunistic substance of this unholy collaboration, which has seen, amongst others, I just highlight three, the hooliganization of the liberal DA as a consequence of its cross-pollination with its step-cousin and or bedfellow, the EFF. Secondly, the unprecedented and anarchical, anarchical display of utter ill-discipline and contempt for elected leadership of this institution and elected leadership of the state, and which is utterly manifest and has ultimately led to a heavy dent, to the decorum of the House. In your unholy alliance, you have dented the decorum of the House in a manner that is unprecedented over the past 21 years. You have, Madam Honorable Chair, this has therefore led to the inculcation of a reactionary and African values, which we want to caution the public and our young people out there that it should never be followed, the extent of contempt for elders, the leaders, and to say to our youth, please don't try this at home, what we usually see in these benches. The naked, amongst others, also want to highlight the naked and deliberate attempts by both these uneasy bedfellows to stall, if not sabotage, any progress or advancement of the transformation agenda and its concomitant tasks, like the SONAS, the policy or budget speech,
On a
etc.
point of order.
Honorable Mnguni, please take your seat. Honorable Matthys.
The member must be helped to uncode the coded words. Because in that code is laid with insults,
Okay.
bedfellows. Can he be helped to uncode the coded words? Or otherwise, I'll regard that as a serious offense and attack on the part of the economic freedom.
Okay, Honorable Matthys, please sit down. Honorable Mnguni, please continue.
Honorable Chair, I'm not sure if I got this uncoding thing. I didn't quote from any book or from anyone here. Right. I may just continue and invite the honorable member to please better brand water umlilo mhlekazi. Because we just got to heat up a little bit. Yeah. And such tasks as the sonars had to be disrupted, budget speeches and everything, just like we have seen some few seconds ago now. And despite the fact that these came by as a consequence of the popular will or the democratic mandate. These are some of the characteristic features, Madam House Chair, which we say actually attest to the Fifth Parliament to be very, very different from any other previous parliament, especially because, in particular, the decorum of the House is lost. Indeed, we enter this debate, as has been said by many ANC speakers on this podium and via other platforms elsewhere this year, exactly 47 days today before the 60th anniversary of the People's Document, the Freedom Charter, adopted on the 26th of June, 1955 in Kliptown. This blueprint of a democratic, non-racial, non-sexist society has been dubbed names by our detractors throughout its 60-year history. Some called it the pre-1994 white minority junta, named it a communist document. Yet our ultra-left detractors have called it a liberal or / a capitalist document. I know the Johnny Come-Lates have got to identify where they stand in relation to analyzing the charter. For now, they pretend as if they espouse the charter. But these distorted views of the People's Charter have been, are, and will continue to be wrong. The Freedom Charter is neither a socialist or communist document, nor a capitalist or a liberal document. The Charter can best be understood in the context of the correct grasp of the theory of the National Democratic Revolution, or even the correct scientific application of the socialist theory in the South African circumstances or context. Like it has been echoed by our comrades over and over again, and even in this podium today before me, the Charter is instructive in its clause on the land question through its provision that, I now quote, "The land shall be shared among those who work it," unquote. In the People's Document, this is deliberated even in clearer terms or detail. Indeed, the Freedom Charter's provision through the above clause is typically mapped as well through the green color in the ANC's banner. We've all talked about the Freedom Charter because it is one message and it has many voices. Now, regarding the policy speeches, Honorable House Chair, the ANC is very satisfied, having checked, to note that the ministerial and thereby the departmental policy pronouncement typically captures the letter and spirit of the ANC's and government's key policy positions. To refer to some few, the ANC's 53rd Conference Resolutions of Mangaung, 2012, the Reconstruction and Development Plan, RDP, the Ready to Govern document, the NDP, in no mixed signals. The New Growth Path, the Election Manifesto, and the 2015 SONA, as delivered by His Excellency, Honorable President J.G. Zuma. The ANC welcomes the extent of 5 bills that will come in the course of the current financial year or policy year before the House and before the committee. That includes the amendment of the CPA Act. Your colleague, through you, Honorable Chair, your colleague Honorable Mhlongo had to run elsewhere. He had spoken about the CPA and the loopholes therein. We are saying that a bill is coming before the committee and ultimately before the House to amend any loopholes with respect to that piece of statute. And then we will report later to the House where we will debate the matter fully and further. We hope at the same breath that the communities like the people of Rama community in Tshwane will at least have, will ultimately have a resolution to their woes. The ANC is quite also concerned. We applaud, as the African National Congress, The implementation, as stated via the policy pronouncement of the Minister of the SPLUM Act, wherein 38 municipalities are to have structure for implementation of the SPLUMA by the 1st of the 7th month, by the 1st of July in the current year. The SPLUMA is a piece of legislation that provides for the development of principles, norms, and standards with respect to spatial planning and land use management for a sustainable land tenure system. We appreciate the allocation of the 27 million to this regard. Honorable House Chair, in a second, we will also want to summarize our proposition or our position in relation to the Office of the Valuer General, especially to assist the Honorable Matthias, who has just come to the committee, probably attended less than 5 meetings, to understand the notion of a Valuer General better. Hitherto, the land has been bought by the government or the department from the private landowners at exorbitant and deliberately inflated prices. The Valuer General is an office that is being introduced that will make sure that there's no milking or rendering of the government as the cash cow by the unscrupulous owners of land in a context which we defined the other time when there were policy speeches last year as to where the land came from. In fact, Mzwakhe Mbuli continues to say the land bought, the land never sold. Even the landowners cannot tell us that they came with the land in those 3 ships in 1652. They never came with any land. The Valuer General is therefore here to make sure that when land transactions are being done, there is no exorbitance and milking of the government. But also, there have been cries about corruption, cries about corruption, cries about corruption. Indeed, it is the ANC government that has given out toll-free numbers, whistleblowing numbers for acts of corruption. But we also call on the bedfellows that we have referred to go beyond citing corruption, which we agree with, to also go to super exploitation of the poor as also an unacceptable tendency and practice in our society. Because it cannot be right that people work up until ages 60, 70, and at the end of the day, they have nothing. They've been exploited by the capitalists and the imperialists and their apologists and their political spokespersons. You are safe because time has run against me. In short, Madam House Chair, in conclusion, I'll skip all the other points. There will be time for that. Conclusion, with the clinical execution of this 2015-16 policy and the budget vote as contained in the strategic plan and the APP, the ANC supports the budget. The ANC supports the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Minister of Land and Rural Development. Honorable Quinty.
Honorable Chairperson, thanks very much. Firstly, Malamala. There's a great obsession around Malamala. People think that because those are black people, they don't deserve to be bought, to get a farm or land back because it's too expensive. Just because ngabantu abamnyama, umuntu omnyama, even kumuntu omnyama ozithileyo, ucinga into yoba umuntu omnyama akafanelanga uba athengelwe into enexabiso eliphezulu. Ngoba umuntu omnyama makahlale ebumnyameni, ebumdakeni, ayimfanelanga imali eninzi. Imalamala iyabahlupha. Uyazi into ebahlupha imalamala? Oko sithenge lamhlaba. Umalamala la company ibhatala aba bantu 700,000 rands ngenyanga irent. Zange yenzeke eSouth Africa lonto. Ngoku aba bantu bathetha ngabo. Ngaba bantu bahlala eGoli bafuna uyotyala imali. Nanso le nto yenzeka and imedia yaseSouth Africa iyabancedisa. Benibabonile bakhutshwa eTV-ni baphendulwe ngumuntu waphaya. Nonkosi lo ndiyafuna umva. No, ayikho le nto bayithethayo bafunde ephepheni into yokuba Kuthunyelwa abantu ngabantu baseGoli bendipha kulo nyaka kuphela ndithetha naba bantu kukho abantu basuka eGoli. Ngabapha babona imali ngoku bayabuya bagoduka. Ha, nani nangena niyakhwela kule nqwelo yokutya imali. Ayizokwenzeka. Ayizokwenzeka. EFF, everything for free. Everything for free. Ayikho emhlabeni lonto everything for free. Ayenzeki. Yintsomi leyo nto zakuthi nani niyaziqhatha ngalento. Futhi khanilungise nje into encinci mntaka Matthias, lungisani into encinci. Nithetha kakuhle ndiyayithanda ingxoxo yenu inhle. Ingxaki yenu indlela eniyithetha ngayo ayamkeleki. Senithetha nini into enhle esizweni. Kodwa yazi bekho abantwana abancinci apha behlele phaa besikolo. Baze eParlamente bazobona eyona nkundla inkulu yesizwe sabo. Xa bengene apha bafike apha babone ootata noomama banxibe ii-overall ezibomvu neminqwazi yokusebenza abathetha krwada bethetha into elungileyo ngamanye amaxesha nto kaMatthias. Into enizithethayo zintle kodwa indlela enizithetha ngayo imbi. Siyabulela utata uFiltani UDM, siyabulela kakhulu. Laa nto yabo i-50-50 ilungisa loo nto kanye. Uyazi uthenga ifama, sithenga ifama kubantu abamhlophe, sibabhatale, agodu ahambe, kungenomnye aphinda axoze aba bantu banye. No, ayikho right loo nto. So le nto kuthiwa i-strengthening of relative rights of people working the land, kuthiwa ngu-50-50, ifuna ukwenza kanye laa nto ithethwa ngumhlonipheki. Abasebenzi, kutheni abasebenzi xa ethenga lo muntu ethengisa ifama ahambe nayo yonke imali agoduka abheke elwandle? Ucinga ntoni ngaba bantu? Sifuna abantu abanefama babe nesazela ngabantu ababasebenzelayo. Qha angaxozwa umuntu omnyama ukusukela ngoko kwaqalwa ukuba anikwe i-wages ukuze kuthiwe umuntu omnyama funeka abhakatele i-tax yekati neyenja kuba kufunwa phangela usebenzela umuntu omnye umuntu. Ayikona. Ayikona. Ayinakwenza ngexesha lethu ngoku. Sesiphethe yenzeke. Uba iyenzeka ufanele bana sibe buhlungu izazela zethu zisikhathaza. Unyanisile umhlonipheki. Kukho amalungu angayibambanga le nto. Athi ndithetha napha ukomvundla. Mbona umvundla xobaleka wenjeje. Hayi, ayikhona. Abayivanga bobabini omama, mhlambi isingesi abasivanga bathethe Afrikaans umthetho wabo. Jongani into zakuthi, mhlonipheki uGronewald, nomhlonipheki uSteyn. Mamelani. Ndithi apha kule policy speech ngokuphethelele ku-50-50 ingxoxo inhle. Itsho ba ibaliwe. Ngokuphathelele ku-50-50 ingxoxo inhle bathethile abantu. Uzababona pha bonke bathethile baneziphakamiso abazenzayo bonke. Sibabekile pha. Abanye futhi bayangena sizabafaka. So laa nto yokuthi upresident athi ngoFebruwari ingagqitywa ingxoxo. Apha kukho nto ithi igqityiwe ingxoxo ngo-50-50. Ithi kukho abantu abangamafama imibutho neziqu abangenayo. Nangu khona abafana lapha seSeres up eWestern Cape Seres. Angaphambi sisandla ngwathetha. Apha uFan Vuren baphi. Eke bakhona siyepha bathi 50 hectares yolo. Asifuni nemali yenu. All we want from you is water. Just enhance the capacity of our dam. Next one, 90 hectares. Nansi yabasebenzi 1,663 enye iyaqhuba ngapha ya. Inikwa abasebenzi bayalima nabo ya. It's 50-50. That's exactly what we're looking for. Sifuna abantu abanefama baxabise abasebenzi. That's all. That discussion is there. In fact, these farmers are worried that we're too slow. They are worried that we're too slow on the 50-50. What I'm talking about here is ceilings. umama uStein uthi akazithathi nesillings abazithandi nyani bethi because constituency yabo is the Hefs. I-constituency yethu thina, if at all thina we would not do it for the people who are voting for us every time, we have no moral standing to say you are revolutionaries. Because abantu abavotela thina ayingobantu banezinto, ngabantu abangenanto basivotelela ithemba loba sizawuguqula ubomi babo, and must be done. It must be done. It must be done. But we are a constitutional democracy, Mfoka Matthias. Asinawuyenza ngola hlobo losithatha nje, because sithi abantu abakhethe ukuba eli lizwe lethu lilawulwe ngomgaqo siseko. Sithi ngoku lento xa sinothi ngoku kwathina sithi sabasinanyani ba sinothi kwathina, hayi suspect sithi hayi masingene nje nani nawuphatha nizawuyiguqula lento niyithethayo, ngoba nizawuyazi into yoba nizawuyazi ukuba isemandleni enu ukulawula ilizwe. Sixeleleni futhi nenza kakuhle, mandiyibeke kwakhona lento. Nenza kakuhle, uyazi sithanda into apha, into endiyithanda apha kuni ni militant, you are young and militant. Ifuneka ngqo loo nto for uguqula isizwe. Iyafuneka loo nto. Siba newari naxa sibona abantu abancinci, abayang manditsho manje abancinci, abasebatsha, babe maka gqithi. Ayifuneki loo nto umuntu omncinci abe maka gqithi. Kufuneka nibe nje ninhlongonhlongo, uyabona nina ninhlongonhlongo. Yeah, sifuna loo nto cha sifuna kodwa mamela mhloniphe komhle, sifuna kodwa xa niyibeka mani laa nto yenu i-right, niyibeke ithengeke, intle cha indlela niyibeka ngayo. So that i-IFP inkosi kakhulu umhlonipheki, sabulela kakhulu inkosi kakhulu. Hey, uyazi kukho ingoma uyandikhumbuza ba, kade kukho ingoma emnanda, asikwazi ukuhamba kweli lizwe lokhokho bethu, asikwazi ukuhamba. Yeah, uyayivala ngoma iyakuxelela ba ufikile uthi itsho le ngoma le itsho yakhumbula xa idluna ithini ngesigebenga, sisukela isigebenga ngabantu abathatha umhlaba, abantu abacula le ngoma ngabantu abahluthwe umhlaba kweli lizwe. Sibuyisa wona ngoku, abakhalayo ngabanawo, abahlekayo ngabangenamhlaba. Nto zakuthi asikwazi ukuhamba.
Order, honorable members.
Kweli lizwe lokhokho bethu,
Honorable members.
asikwazi ukuhamba.
Honorable members, order.
Hey mama, oh xolo sihlalo omhle. Xolo sihlalo wami. So injalo lento singayo apha. Siyaqhuba sihlalo wami, sibeka phambili ngoba sifuna ukukhulula ilizwe. Abantu bakuthi baye kuba ngamahlwembi.
Honorable Minister.
Jabulela sihlalo omhle, Nkosi.
Thank you. Order. Honorable members, please take your seats. Just before we adjourn this EPC, I just want to go back to Honorable Madisha, that what you did here was wrong, was disrespectful, and was degrading to the decorum of this house. No member in this house, whether you're from the opposition or the ruling party, is prevented from meeting with any minister or deputy minister and bringing your point or your speech or your issues that you have gathered from your constituency. You can do that to any minister or deputy minister that are here. But the way you did it, the spectacular act that you put here was uncalled for, and I don't need your response. That then concludes the extended public
as
comment.
you do
Thank
that,
you.
I want to tell you that I shall repeat that for as long as you go on like
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Because you are wrong.
Thank you.
For as long as you are wrong, we shall repeat that. And you yourself need to learn. You must learn